I am not going to stand here and talk about Jamie, but I'll give you a minute about myself, and then I'm going to go back to the podium. As he said, I was the head of the Christian Coalition back in the 1990s when I met J.D. Once upon a time, I was the senior research associate for something called the Indiana Fiscal Policy Institute, which is one of the few places that is still in existence that I used to work for. Don't know why. I was chosen by Ed Simcox, former state Secretary of State, when he was the chairman of the Billy Graham Crusade for Central Indiana. I was chosen to write the briefing book, eyes-only briefing book for Dr. Billy Graham when he came here to Indianapolis, so that he could better plan his crusade when he was here. And for the last 20 years or so, I've been an adjunct college professor teaching econ statistics and political science. And I will just share with you that I had a private conversation with Jamie, and I said, the poli-sci expert in me says, you wouldn't have a ghost of the chance, but I'm going to support you because I see something different in you. And so I'd like to talk about my friend, Jamie Reitenour. By the way, she's up in Gary, Indiana today, and she apologizes for not being able to be here personally, and so it asked me if I could share with you a little bit about her. Jamie was raised in a military home. Both her parents are veterans. They instilled in her a love for country, a can-do spirit, and the belief that what is important is the conduct of your character, not the color of your skin. In the corporate world, Jamie rose through the ranks of Windsor Capital Mortgage to run their compliance department. Windsor is the second largest mortgage corporation in the country. They are located in California. And in fact, what happened was that she rooted out corruption and mismanagement and was raised to that point. So just like both our current and former attorneys generals, she has rooted out corruption. And during her 5 years in that position at Windsor, oversaw over 1,000 mortgage officers around the country, not just in the state of California. Now, some might say that Jamie has no experience in running government, or they might say that she has no experience in politics. Well, first of all, I'd like to point out that who would deny that our current governor, Eric Holcomb, has lots of experience in both politics and government, and yet, with all that experience, a $1 billion hole magically appeared in our Medicaid budget, and he simply didn't know it was there. Fortunately, that's not the kind of experience that Jamie Reitenour brings to the table. In private conversations with Jamie, I know that 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7 is a verse that is important to her, which says, "For the Spirit God gave us is not a spirit of timidity, but gives us power, love, and self-control." You see, God laid on Jamie's heart the need to rebuild and repair the wall of goodness in Indiana. Nehemiah 2:17 says, "Then I said to them, you see the trouble we are in. Jerusalem lies in ruins, and its gates have been burned down with fire. Come, let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem, and we will no longer be in disgrace. Now, if you're going to rebuild, you have to look back and find the original structure that you want to restore. Perhaps you're familiar with the Northwest Ordinance, out of which the state of Indiana was created. Article 3 of the Northwest Ordinance says, and I quote, "Religion, morality, and knowledge being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged." A few years later, in his inaugural address, President George Washington said, "The foundations of our national policy will be laid in the pure and immutable principles of private morality." Philippians chapter 2, verse 21 says, "Conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ." Now, the Greek word for the English word conduct is polieuthse. It is from that Greek word that we got our English word politics. It is because of this verse that Noah Webster originally defined politics as the method of preservation and improvement of the moral and civic conduct of the people. So you see, Jamie has 20 years experience in politics to help people conduct themselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ. She's been a worship leader for 20 years, working with youth and adults, and she is not afraid to lead. She has used her experience to organize a campaign on just $17,000. I don't know if you know this or not, but that's the least amount of money that any of the 6 candidates running for governor in the state of Indiana have raised. Now, people don't just volunteer to help you get enough signatures, 6,500 plus, to get on the ballot in Indiana for no good reasons. Hoosiers across the state are responding to her campaign message. And what is that campaign message? Jamie's campaign can be boiled down to 2 words. I have them on this shirt: Indiana goodness. That's why she wants to go into the Indiana Department of Education and not just cut the bloated bureaucracy, but change the culture and repurposing of the Department of Education's diversity, equity, inclusion to focus on one of creating curriculum and teaching methods to promote a better citizen. That's right, we're going to get rid of DEI and institute ABC. Jamie brings goodness and wants to restore goodness, Hoosier hospitality in Indiana. And by the way, I know that my friend JD has worked on promoting Harry Hoosier here through the Indiana Republican Assembly, and that's a great thing. My friend Hosea Baxter, in fact, talked about Harry Hoosier at a presentation as she was conducting her Truth series. Jamie believes that government isn't about laws and doctors getting into office and being a, quote, subject matter expert. Government is about people with character and courage. It's about bringing goodness to the table and serving the people. For Jamie, decisions go through the lens of, will this be the right thing for the people? Lower taxes, less regulation, life. So Jamie asks some questions, and this is the part where we get to audience participation, folks. So pay attention, please. By the way, did I tell you I'm a college professor? So you have to respond to me. So here's the first question. Is it in the best interest of Hoosiers when the IEDC takes taxpayer money to purchase land for the LEAP program and then gives it to Eli Lilly, which then wants to file a not-for-profit so it can avoid paying property taxes? What's your answer? Well, that's why Jamie wants to do away with the IEDC and save the taxpayers of Indiana millions of dollars. Question number 2. Is it in the best interests of Hoosiers that property taxes are skyrocketing? What's your answer? So that's why Jamie wants to exempt people 65 and over from paying property taxes if their mortgages have been paid off. And she wants to increase the standard homestead exemption from $45,000 to $65,000 for all Hoosier homeowners. And she's open to looking at other changes in the property tax system. By the way, I just have to comment. There's another candidate who posted his 10-point plan the other day. I actually read it, and the economist in me said, that's not a plan, that's a joke. That's just me. Here's another question. Is it in the best interest of Hoosier farm owners, to take their land and instead of growing food, cover it with wind and solar farms, which then leach harmful toxins into our rich Hoosier soil? What's your answer? So, ladies and gentlemen, according to the National Association of Manufacturers, 19.8% of Indiana employment is in manufacturing. We are the #1 state in the country with the percentage of people working in manufacturing. Our businesses need low-cost, reliable energy, but the wind and the solar industry is driving energy costs up. Jamie wants low-cost, reliable electricity and has a plan to use Indiana coal, Indiana oil, and reopen the discussion on safe, clean nuclear power. Today, Jamie wasn't able to be here because she's up in Gary, Indiana, talking to officials at the Gary Municipal Airport about training high school students for apprenticeships in the aeronautics industry. She's been to Greenwood Airport's Aeronautical Center for Technology, where my friend Roger Tommy runs that program. It's right now it has its first class of students learning about everything from building airplane engines to how to fly an airplane. Republic Airlines is on record stating that they want to create apprenticeships at all of the 60-plus Indiana municipal airports. Jamie wants to create an on-ramp to apprenticeships for all Hoosier children. So Jamie has a question. A little more than a week ago, Jamie learned that the elites of this state were seeking to exclude her from several upcoming debates. She wants to ask, is it in the best interest of Hoosiers to keep qualified candidates for governor off the debate stage? So that's why thousands of Hoosiers said it's not fair when she was the only gubernatorial candidate to not be invited to a debate hosted by the IBJ and the NFIB. In fact, they invited the Libertarian candidate and the Democrat candidate and the other 5 Republicans, but not her. And so, after making appearances, going on social media, they relented and they invited her to be on there. Now, I did this the other day. I can't tell you the website, but if you go to National Federation of Independent Business, NFIB, and you look for their section of the page with the Indiana governor debate, you will find 6 one-minute video clips. Jamie is the last of the 6. And they're all talking on the subject of education. She spells out in detail her plans for apprenticeships, starting to prepare kids in grade school, and by the time they get to 6th grade, bringing business people in to talk about technology and AI. And the other people have nothing but general platitudes. And here's the thing that upset me the most. Now, I know both of the first 2 speakers that came before you. I didn't get a chance to meet Dr. Shook, but I know both Curtis and Todd. Worked with them in the past. They didn't, on the NFIP website, it doesn't say how many kids they have. All it says about Jamie is that she's the mother of 5, which is true, but it makes it sound like she knows nothing and is not qualified, and that could be for the furthest thing from the truth. So, what needs to happen is that there's still one more debate coming up. Both Curtis Hill and Jamie have been excluded from it. What needs to be asked is, how will Indiana learn about her ideas if the power elites of this state work to silence her? Why won't the Indiana Republican Party make an official announcement to repudiate this campaign to silence her? Later today, we're going to have a straw poll. I'm here to ask you to vote for Jamie Reitenour for governor. But regardless of who the Indiana Republican Assembly votes for in today's straw poll, you can make your voices heard about this travesty of justice and issue a statement condemning this effort to silence any candidate for the office of governor who has successfully qualified to be on the ballot on May 7th. Mr. Parliamentarian, all it takes is a motion, a second, and a vote. I'm David Lance, and I ask you to vote for Jamie Reitenour.